Hare Krishna, dearest devotees. Please kindly accept our most humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, and all glories to Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. So we welcome you all for this session 4 of the 72nd online Vyasa-puja festival of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. And we hope that you have enjoyed the previous 3 sessions. And now, before starting, we would like to beg the permission and blessings of our dear most spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Damodara Swami Maharaj, who is here present. So Hare Krishna, dear Srila Gurudev, thank you very much for being here. So we kindly beg for your permission and blessings to start this session, Srila Gurudev. Thank you very much, Srila Gurudev. So now, first of all, dear devotees, would like to start by first inviting on screen Her Grace, Yogini Mataji, and Mataji will be explaining about the language interpretation.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much for being here. And today we will be offering language interpretation into Portuguese language for our Portuguese-speaking audience. And I will now explain the instructions in Portuguese language. Queridos devotos, muito obrigada por estar aqui. Hare Krishna. Para aqueles que estão usando o desktop, é só para apertar no ícone do globo para ouvir a tradução simultânea. Aí depois que você clicar no globo, clique no canal de português. E se estiverem no celular, clique no ícone mais, nos 3 pontinhos, depois no globinho e depois no canal de português e depois done, e aí vocês vão conseguir ouvir a tradução simultânea em português. Muito obrigada. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Yogini Mataji. And now let us take a look at today's schedule together, dear devotees, which is here on your screen. So as you can see, first of all, we have a very beautiful talk by His Holiness Bhakti Narasimha Swami Maharaj, followed by a second talk by His Holiness Bhakti 𝐤𝒍𝒍𝒐𝒃 Swami Maharaj. And then after that, we have an offering from my heart to my beloved Gurudev by Her Grace Kartamisha Devi Dasi. And finally, we have the offering by different devotees. And also throughout the video, throughout the whole session, you have many beautiful videos and an interesting quiz that comes up. And now, also, if you're having any kind of difficulty regarding the language interpretation, or you have any other queries, you will find on Zoom our Ask Your Servant, who is there to help you for any kind of assistance. So please do not hesitate to contact our Ask Your Servant if you have any questions. So now let us start this beautiful session on this auspicious day of Ekadashi today by first of all watching a very beautiful video of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj on love in action. So here is the video on your screen.
We should always view ourselves as love in action, carrying love wherever we go. So filled with love that it naturally overflows to everyone we meet. In this frame of mind, we serve as representatives of the divine in every aspect of our lives. I'll read this next paragraph. We can practice love in action through the breath. As we inhale, we visualize ourselves absorbing the pain and frustration. We take it in and extinguish it. Of our loved ones. As we exhale, we send happiness, joy, love, and peace back to them. Actually, this is not just a practice to help those close to us, but also the entire world. We inhale, we are concerned. Because loving persons are not just oblivious to things, they are concerned. They give great attention to humanity. They love people because they are loving and they see the God within others. So when they see pain, they feel the pain of others. In Sanskrit, we call this param dukkha dukhi kripam buddhi. One who feels the miseries of others, feels the happiness of others. When you really care about somebody, you literally kind of share a similar force field of consciousness. You share a similar, some similar aspirations and things also. So therefore, you are very concerned about their well-being, what they're experiencing, what the lacks is, as well as what the assets are. We are not oblivious to other people's problems. We want to help. We exhale. We are breathing out love, compassion, and healing. This is not just an idle exercise. It has a powerful impact. And if we monitor the process over time, we will witness the beneficial effects on others. I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Thank you very much for this very beautiful video, Maharaj. And as Maharaj mentioned that carry love everywhere where you go. And we see that His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj has personally demonstrated this very nice attitude, so that wherever he's going, he's crying love. And he has also practiced this love in action. So now, dear devotees, we have a very special guest speaker, our very first guest speaker, His Holiness Bhakti Narasimha Swami Maharaj. So Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for joining us. Please kindly accept our most humble obeisances. So His Holiness Bhakti Narasimha Swami Maharaj was born in 1959. He's the first South African sannyasi of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. He joined ISKCON in 1986. He was involved in the pioneering work of ISKCON Zululand under His Grace Kramsahanta Prabhu, a Prabhupada disciple, and he later got involved with pioneering preaching in Zimbabwe. He served as a book distributor in the early 90s and in Birmingham, UK. He then served in South African temples, including Durban and Cape Town in the mid-90s, and was in East Africa, Kenya, and Uganda in the late 19th till 2003. He became a sannyas candidate in 2005 and was initiated into the sannyas ashrama in 2008. He travels and preaches in many places, including South America, Africa, and Russia. So thank you very much, Maharaj, for being here. And now, as a token of gratitude to Maharaj, we'd like to offer Maharaj a garland, and we request on screen His Grace Jaganivas Prabhu from Vrindavan. And Prabhuji will be offering garland to Maharaj. Jai.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. We are honored to offer you this Mahagarland from Sri Sri Radhasyama Sundar.
Jai, Jai. Thank you very much, Jaganivas Prabhuji. Thank you very much. So now we invite His Holiness Bhakti Narasimha Swami Maharaj to kindly begin his talk on the theme compassion. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj, I think you are muted. You're muted, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Om Magyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Chakshurumitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. First, I would like to greet the assemble of devotees, including our senior most brother, Bhakti Dhira Damodara Maharaj. Hare Krishna. And I would like also to thank the organizers for arranging this wonderful Vyasa-puja for His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, and giving me the opportunity to take the association of the devotees. So the festivals like Vyasa-pujas, Prabhupada said, they are the mothers of devotion, because on these days, these great devotees, great acharyas, they are giving the mercy endlessly. In other words, on these particular days, we can access the mercy of these acharyas and great devotees of the Lord. So the topic that I've selected is compassion, the ornament of a Vaishnava. So this is very, very important, because just like we address the spiritual master as his divine grace, most people don't understand this divine grace. Sometimes we get questioned as to why are we addressing the spiritual master as his divine grace. Actually, divine grace refers to God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then the spiritual master, according to Brihad Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami, as an empowered personality, as an empowered servant and associate of the Lord, he is also addressed as his divine grace. Why? Because he's the one that distributes the grace from the Lord. He's the one that can do us kindness, which we could not do for ourselves. He's the one that does us kindness that we cannot repay him for. So in that way, he's addressed as his divine grace, not because he's God, just because he's a carrier of the grace from the Lord to us. So in that way, to carry this grace, the qualification for that is compassion. So we see that in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, Lord Krishna makes this point. Advaita sarva bhutanam maitram karuna evacha nirmano nirahankara samaduka sukha swami santusta satatam yogi yattatma drita nischayam maya pita yomam bhaktya samepriya. So the Lord is telling Arjuna that one who is friendly, one who is not envious, yes, who is friendly and kind to all living entities, who is free from the sense of proprietorship. He says one who is free from false ego, who is equally in happiness and distress. Fully satisfied, being engaged in devotional service. It says that such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. So today we are observing the Vyasa-puja of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, who fits in with the description that are given by the Lord. Advaita sarva bhutanam. He was a kind friend to all living entities. So, according to the Black Lotus, the book that gave us the events of Maharaja's life, when he took sannyas in 1979, he became overwhelmed with his compassion. He was just oozing with enthusiasm to go out there and reclaim fallen conditioned souls on behalf of the Lord. So this compassion, actually compassion according to the dictionary, it means concern, pity or concern for the suffering or the misfortune of others. So this was the mood of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. So after taking sannyas, according to Black Lotus, he began, for this purpose, he began an institution, or he founded a committee, actually. It was a committee in the beginning for urban spiritual development that he founded in Washington, D.C., which later became the International Committee for Urban Development. So that Community for Urban Development spread the branches from Washington, D.C. to Ohio, Beechwood, and some other parts in America. And then later, it is said that this institute began its activities in West Africa. So that is the personality that is driven by this quality, the quality of compassion. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that we can be compassionate to the living entities in 3 ways. There are 3 ways of being compassionate. First, this one, he calls it Dehi Sambandini. Dehi means the body. Like we can dig wells for people to drink water, that is being compassion. And also we can, he says that giving clothes, giving food to the poor is a sign of expressing this compassion. And then another way of being compassionate, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is called Mana Sambandini Daya. Daya means mercy or compassion. So Daya Sambandini refers to, this is Mana Sambandini. Mana means the mind. We can build schools, universities to offer compassion to the mind of the people through educating them. And then another way of showing compassion, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is Jiva Sambandini Daya, to be merciful to the soul. So these are 3 ways of being compassionate to the people, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So when we observe the life of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, we'll see how his compassion was kind of like encompassing all these 3. It is said that with this institute, the Committee for Urban Spiritual Development, he had 15 principles. One of them was to develop cottage industries and technical schools for simple but secure economic development. And then another purpose for this institute was to establish agricultural education, to encourage self-sufficiency. And another purpose was to have clinics specializing in natural and holistic medicine. And then another purpose was to establish free food, or to have free initiatives distributing prasadam to the needy, particularly the poor urban areas. Like in America, we still have urban areas that are poor. And then also one of the purposes for the institution was to establish vegetarian restaurants, along with educating people in nutrition and in the science of offering food to the Lord as sacrifice. So also they had an idea of providing yoga workshops and treatment centers, conducting seminars and workshops on stress management, seminars for humanitarian educators who might wish to offer their services in the third world countries. So in that way, we see that through this initial committee, Maharaj expanded his service eventually to the entire world. So in that way, this is how Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj expressed his compassion, that he established cottage industries even in West Africa. He established a system whereby he was trying to help devotees to become self-sufficient. And then Maharaj also, in order to expand his compassion, he established also the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology in Washington. Of course, in those days, he was the one that had this vision. All of his teachings now have become part of our courses in ISKCON. We talk about devotee care. Maharaj, he was talking about these things way back in the early 90s when I was working with him. He was talking about these things. So now we see that in ISKCON now, these ideas of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, they are becoming part of our training in most of our courses. We find devotees teaching unity in diversity. Now devotees are giving seminars on farming and self-sufficiency. And all these ideas that Maharaj upheld. So in that way, he distributed his mercy to all people in the world, directly and indirectly, through his teachings and through his preaching. Like we're hearing the video, how he emphasized the love, how we should be loving. Sometimes this is misunderstood by most of our devotees. How can I be loving? How can I be loving to all people? But actually, love, just like we found in the scripture, in the Bhagavatam, in second canto, chapter 9, there is a verse there, 9:2931. So that Lord Krishna is talking to Lord Brahma. He says that, it says, Jnana Paramaguyamme Yadvigyana Samamritaha. Sarahasyam tat angam cha grihana gatitamaya. That knowledge, jnana, knowledge about me is very confidential. He says it can be understood in conjunction with devotion. So for devotion, Sarahasyam. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his commentary, Bhagavatam, which is very small, it comes in the form of Krishna Samhita. When he's commenting on this verse, he says that bhakti with devotion refers to the activities of the Lord and the activities of the jivas, which can be said to be the science of love. Very beautifully he's explaining. So what is this science of love? It means to care about someone. Like when Krishna says, offer me with love and devotion, fruits, flowers, and water. I will accept it. So it means the emotion or the feelings of caring for another person. That is what Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was trying to teach us, that we should care. So that care comes in a form of love. So in that way, whenever there is a function for His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, I only remember his spirit of caring for people, his mood, of sharing this love. Because when we care about other people, that is how we can save them from this material world, which is constantly bombarding them with so many problems. And when they come in contact with devotees, they will feel different. Just like when I first came to ISKCON, I saw they had an advert. It was saying, "Come to the oasis, come to the Hare Krishna farm." Oasis, I was thinking, oasis. I'm burning in the sunlight of material existence. And I've been looking for a place like that. And then finally, of course, I got to this place called Oasis. So when I was there, I felt different in association with devotees. So in a similar way, those who met His Holiness, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he was an oasis himself. When he came to us in South Africa, it was during the time when we were under the apartheid system. Growing up in apartheid system meant that you were in a burning kind of environment. It was like being put in an oven where you are being roasted from all sides. So one of the things that the system that I grew up under, it instilled the mood of inferiority in us. Through our schools, through our universities, this idea of being inferior as people was embedded in us. So when I met Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he told me that, he asked me, "What are your plans?" I said, "I just want to remain a brahmachari." He said, "Immediately take sannyas." I said, "But I'm too young." So, yeah, it's just, no one has ever told me that you can be a sannyas. I never thought that will happen to me. Another thing that he told me was that you are so quiet, but I can see from what you are doing, how you are arranging things, that you have some intelligence. He said you could become a discreet preacher. I think this Maharaj is like, he's seeing inside my mind. Yeah. So in that way, he kind of like opened me up a bit and gave me encouragement and gave me the belief that you can also do things. Otherwise, I was in this dark box where I did not see the sun shine. It was like the kind of situation. So that way, personally, I would say I'm forever indebted to His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. He kind of like opened these boxes for us, which we were locked in for many, many decades due to the ideology that existed where I grew up at that time. And I always feel his presence just by remembering his words. And I'm very thankful to his disciples and grand-disciples for allowing me to take part in his programs. And this kind of like takes me back to the memory lane when he was my GPC in the 90s. And we used to have a lot of nice programs, and it was very, very, very inspiring. And thank you very much for allowing me to share these few points about His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for so beautifully explaining how Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj embodied compassion. Thank you very, very much. And Maharaj, I would like to mention some points for the benefit of all devotees that you mentioned, some very pertinent points. For example, like you explained how compassion is the ornament of a devotee. And you also explained the meaning of divine grace, meaning he's not God, but he's a carrier of the grace from God. And you also quoted from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verse 13 and 14 of Veshta Sarvabhutanam, and how one should not be envious, should be a friend to all living entities. He should be equal in both happiness and distress. And you also explained, Maharaj, very nicely that compassion, how Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, he had this mood that he was concerned for the suffering of others. And also, you very nicely explained how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur give 3 ways to be compassionate: the Dehi Sambandini, the Doya Sambandini, and the Mana Sambandini. And also, you said that Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, he encompasses all these 3 ways of showing compassion. And finally, you mentioned that Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, he showed his compassion by helping others, the devotees, to be self-sufficient, and also by establishing the IFAST, the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology. So thank you very much once again, Maharaj, for being here present with us and for giving your precious time. Thank you so, so much. Hare Krishna. And now, dear devotees, let us move to our next item, which is a beautiful video song. Jai.
I have to leave because I'm doing the Sunday program also just now.
Yes, okay, Maharaj, no problem. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Jai. So our next item, dear devotees, is a very beautiful video song by one of our cutest devotee, Bhaktin Siddhi, who is the daughter of our dear brother, Paramgati Prabhu. And now let us see that very beautiful video on screen.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। Bhakti Tirtha Namine. Showed us how to be happy. To our sufferings became carrier, cleared our path with no barrier. Thank you, beloved spiritual warrior. Thank you, our spiritual warrior. shown us, keeping himself below to lift us. Always grateful to the Black Lotus. Always grateful to you, Black Lotus. Always grateful to you, Black Lotus. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Bhakti Tirtha Swami, Jaya Bhakti Tirtha Swami, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, Jaya Bhakti Tirtha Swami, Jaya Param Gurudev, Param Gurudev, Param Gurudev, Jaya Param Gurudev, Jaya Srila Gurudev, Srila Gurudev, Srila Gurudev, Jaya Srila Gurudev. Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami ki
Right, that was such a heartfelt, sweet, and very touching offering of cutest Bhakti Siddhi. And now by looking at Bhakti Siddhi, we can understand how wonderful the parents are, and they have brought up the child with so much good culture. So this is how Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj wanted the parents to be, to bring up the child with very good culture, to be always Krishna conscious. And Maharaj also will personally show his love for the kids, as we always see in his videos. And now, dear devotees, we'd like to move to our next item, which is very interesting one. So we are going to have a quiz, a very interesting quiz. And the quiz is as follows. So you'll be having 3 questions, okay? And each question has 4 options, okay? A, B, C, D. And now you need to choose the correct option. A poll will appear on your screen, and you need to choose the correct option, and you need to be very fast, because this will determine if you're the winner or not. So you need to choose it very fast. You will have around 10 seconds, and the top 3 winners will be will be announced at the end of the session. So here it is on your screen, dear devotees. So question 1 is as follows. Before joining ISKCON, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami was involved in which movement? So I read the options. Option A, Toshombe Abdul African Freedom Movement. Option B, Martin Luther King Jr.'s Civil Rights Movement. Option C, Hippies Movement of America. And option D, Mahatma Gandhi's Non-Cooperation Movement. So please choose the correct answer, dear devotees. And here the poll is appearing on your screen. So I can see that the devotees are answering very enthusiastically. Jai, Jai, Jai. Yeah, wow, look at this. The devotees are enthusiastically participating in this very nice quiz. Jai, Jai. So we can see that the poll has ended, and the right answer is on the screen. The right answer is option B, Martin Luther King Jr.'s Civil Rights Movement. So now, dear devotees, let us look at question 2. So here it is on your screen. Just some technical issues. Yes, question 2 is as follows. When did His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami first meet Srila Prabhupada? So option A is 1970. Option B is 1972. Option C is 1973. And option D is 1975. So dear devotees, please choose the correct option, the correct answer. And we can see that devotees have started answering. Wow, look at this, so fast. You devotees are so fast. Wow, Jai. And yes, so answers are coming right now, and the poll is about to end. Okay, the poll has ended. So the right answer is on your screen, option B, 1972. And now let us have a look at the third question, question 3, which is as follows. How many volumes of the Bhagavad series by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami have been published? So option A, 3, option B, 4, option C, 5, and option D, 6. So please give your answers, dear devotees. And yes, the devotees are participating. They are giving their answers. And option 4 is being given the most answers. Okay. And the poll is about to end. Yes, the poll has ended. So the correct answer is option B, 4 volumes. So thank you very much, dear devotees, for participating. And now the top 3 winners will be announced at the end of the session. So now, dear devotees, we have the pleasure to invite our next guest speaker, Her Grace Kartamisha Mataji, on screen. Yes. So Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, we are inviting Her Grace Kartamisha Mataji. I think Mataji has not yet come. Okay, Mataji is not here. So anyway, so what we'll do is, in the meantime, we'll play a small video of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, so that you can get in the mood of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, how Bhakti Narsimha Maharaj very nicely explained that he encompasses the mood of compassion, and he was a carrier of compassion wherever he went. And also he showed this compassion in all ways when he met people. And so let us have that video on screen, please. Jai.
Purity. Have you ever seen somebody in whose heart there's so much love? Have you ever seen somebody whose life is all austerity? When he smiles, you smile. When he cries, you feel his love for Radhe-shyam. When he smiles, you smile. When he cries, you feel his love for Radhe-shyam. Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad Jaya Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad Jaya Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad Jaya Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad. Have you ever met somebody? Well, he talks in sweet melody. Have you ever seen somebody whose glass is full of mercy? Have you ever seen somebody who is splendid like the moonlight? And he smiles, you smile. When he cries, you feel his love for Radhe-shyam. When he smiles, you smile. When he cries, you feel his love for Radhe-shyam. Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad Jaya Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad Jaya Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad Jaya Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasa Sadi Gura Bhakta-vrinda, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sadi Gura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Shyam, Jai 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 Vrindavan Dham. Jai Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Shyam, Jai 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 Vrindavan Dham. Jai Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Shyam, Jai 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 Vrindavan Dham. Jai Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Shyam, Jai 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 Vrindavan Dham. Gudakesha, Samadashi, Tatadashi, Paramahamsa. Gudakesha, Samadashi, Tatadashi, Paramahamsa. Gudakesha, Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad, Jaya Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad, Jaya Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad, Jaya Swami Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Pad.
In order to really break all of the necessary shackles, then one has to enter into a divine madness, the sweetness of I'm all yours, Krishna, and you're all mine.
Jai, that was such a heartfelt, touching video from the Ghana devotees, and the devotees were very grateful to you all for having presented such a nice offering to Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. And now, dear devotees, we have our second guest speaker who is here. His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Swami Maharaj. And His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Swami Maharaj is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for joining us. Yes, Maharaj has spent over 35 years as a monk in full-time service of propagating the message of Krishna consciousness. Bhakti Vasudev Swami Maharaj has joined ISKCON in Lagos, Nigeria in 1984, and he was initiated in 1986. He steered many projects in the early days of the movement in West Africa under the order of his guru. Namely, in only a few months after his initiation, he became a member of the management committee and later the president of Lagos State chapter of ISKCON, where he oversaw the temple construction of ISKCON Lagos. In 1990, His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj served as a regional secretary for Nigeria and the West African sub-region. In February 2009, Maharaj received sannyas initiation from His Holiness 𝐤𝐻 Swami Maharaj in Mayapur, India. And since then, Maharaj has been traveling all over the globe, preaching the sublime message of love and devotion to Lord Krishna. So thank you very much, Maharaj, for being with us. We are very happy to have you here today. Okay, Maharaj has been disconnected. So just some technical issues on the part of Maharaj. So dear devotees, just wait a bit for Maharaj to be connected back. Jai, thank you very much, Maharaj, for being here. I think you're muted, Maharaj. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Jai, thank you. Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Shall I commence?
Yes, Maharaj. Just before you start, Maharaj, we'd like to offer
Shall
a
I
garland,
commence?
Maharaj. Yeah, we'd like to offer a garland, Maharaj, from Mauritius by Ram Prakash Prabhuji. Jai.
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Okay.
please accept this my humble obeisances and accept this Mahagarland from Srila Prabhupada of Bhakti Vedanta Ashram.
Jai, thank you very much, Ram Prakash
Thank
Prabhu.
you.
Yeah, you may kindly, Maharaj, we invite you now to start, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namani. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Astapmanesi Gaur Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namani. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pitarine Nirvisesa Sunyabadi Pasatyadi Satari. Vancha kalpataribhya cha kripa sundhya eva cha patitanam pavanabhyo vaishnavabhyo namo. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadara Sri Vasari Sri Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So first of all, I'd like to thank the organizers, especially His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Damodara Swami for setting up this wonderful arrangement. I know, see, I study management to doctoral level, so it takes a lot of pain. Energy is very much energy sapping to develop a program to this standard, international program for that matter. So I'd like to thank all of the organizers who are behind the success of this program. And you'll be very much blessed by Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. So I'm going to be snappy. I'm not going to take your time. So I'm going to say some few things about Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, our Guru Maharaj, on enthusiasm. Now, Rupa Goswami have mentioned in the Upadishamrita the importance of enthusiasm, utsaha, in our devotional life. And Prabhupada very much wanted his followers to understand that we are Rupanugas, and the teachings of Rupa Goswami, if practicalized, will yield the highest success for our movement. So here is a letter that Prabhupada wrote to Hansa Dutta. This letter was written on the 12th of October, 1973, when Prabhupada was in Bombay. And Hansa Dutta was in West Germany, Heidelberg. An excerpt from the letter reads, our success is our enthusiasm. So everything we do should be done with enthusiasm. The chanting, reading, and following the rules and regulations. So we find that on enthusiasm, if we want to be successful, it means that we have to buy in enthusiasm. In the life and teachings of Bhakti Tirtha Swami, it is observable. It's so designable that everything he does, that is that, portrayal of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm means doing something with excitement. And not only doing something with excitement, but then you're doing that with excitement and it's sustainable. In other words, there may be difficulties in the process, but you by dint of your enthusiasm, your commitment, your dedication, you are able to pave through and sustain your dexterity in prosecuting the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in being able to reach out to the world, to be able to create a positive change. So we find that in all the things that he does, I'm referring to Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, or that element of enthusiasm, other speakers have mentioned, have touched it, that element of enthusiasm was always present. In his dancing, we find we see how how he moves everyone into dancing. I remember in one temple, there was an incident where just after the 𝐶𝐸𝐴𝐺𝐸 went in.
Hare Krishna, I think Maharaj is encountering some network issues. So we wait for Maharaj, yes.
Prudence entered the waiting room. They've taken the light here, you know.
It's okay, Maharaj, we can see you. Yeah, we can hear you also. Yes, we can hear you very nicely. Thank you.
The electricity is gone. Okay, I'm in India. Okay.
Okay, Maharaj. Okay. You please continue, Maharaj. Thank you.
Electricity is gone, so I don't know whether you're still hearing me.
We can still hear you very nicely, Maharaj. Yes.
Okay. So we see that even in his dancing, he motivates everyone. He enthuses everyone into the dancing scheme of affairs. If even you're not interested, you're not inclined to dancing, Bhakti Tirtha Swami will enthuse you, will make you to dance. He will bring you in to be able to be part of the crew. So the bottom line is that he had so much of good intention for the devotees around, for the people around him. And not only that, he exhibited and he functioned on that. He applied that. He energized the people around him, and he was really after the welfare of everyone. And you know what? We find that people who are dancing, we presume they are happy. If you go to the dancing club, you presume everyone is happy. But the dancing that is initiated by Bhakti Tirtha Swami during the kirtans. So I was referring to a situation in one of the temples after Mangalati, during the 𝐶𝐸𝐴𝐺𝐸 extended through kirtan into several hours of the morning. And people were not complaining, they were not tired, they wanted more. So that energy that he was carrying, he was able to inject into people, and that basically implies that enthusiasm enables excitement and positivity of people around you. So if we want to instill in people around us excitement and positivity, then there is a need to follow what Rupa Goswami mentions, that we have to be enthusiastic in our devotional cultivation, in our devotional practice. We find this in all the things it does, not only in the dancing, but even when he preaches on social media. An enthusiastic person has the expertise of using technologies, and we find this also in the life of Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. I remember in the early days when he was in Africa, he was very much enthused to do social media programs, especially
Yeah, devotees, I think Maharaj is again having some internet issues. Yes, Maharaj is back. So I hope that you're enjoying what Maharaj is narrating to us, that our success lies in our enthusiasm, and also everything that we are doing, that we should be doing it with enthusiasm. Yes, Maharaj. Yes, yes. You can continue, Maharaj. No issues.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Your system went off again, you know.
It's okay, Maharaj. I was just mentioning the point that you said. It's okay. You can continue. Yeah.
So even his preaching on social media, he was doing that with a lot of enthusiasm. That some people they just see him on TV, on the TV program, and they will come to our temple. They said they want to see this person. They want to be part of the movement, because enthusiasm is contagious. Preaching is one thing, but if we are also enthused, people perceive that, and it acts like it's like an injection. When you get injected, you have that feeling. You have the lived experience in research, phenomenological research. We say lived experience. You have the lived experience, and you want to participate. So we find people who just watch him on TV, and they come to the temple. They come to be part of the movement. And so his enthusiasm was something that was all pervasive. And even when he gives instructions, he was very much enthused when he gives even hard instructions. He was very much enthused, and because enthusiasm is contagious, the person who is receiving instruction, it may be a hard instruction, the person will become enthused to execute it. I remember when I had my terrible accident in 1990, and I was lying on bed at University Teaching Hospital in Lagos after a ghastly motor vehicle accident. And I had all of these broken bones, broken pelvic bone, ruptured bladder, and all those things. I was lying by my back for 2 months in the hospital, not eating. So when I got discharged, I was still carrying, suprapubic tubes from the hospital. But at that time, I was staying with him in his flat. My room was just adjacent to his room. So one day I was coming out, and he was in the sitting room, and he looked at me, and then he said, "Vasudev, what service did you do today?" I just got the charge from clinic. I was carrying tubes. I said, I was writing. And even when I was in the hospital, I was writing, because some of my publications even came out, got published when I was in the hospital. And some of the nurses, they came to me to ask whether it was me who they had seen there. I said, yes. So when I told him I was writing, he said, oh, very good. So I remember when the first time he met me, when I came back from the hospital, okay, look at it in this way. How enthused he is, or how enthused he's been in his whole life, that even he asks you a very hard question, a tough love question. You are bound to be positive in terms of your response, and you'll be joyous to do that. So I remember when I just came back from the hospital, he told me, so this is the guru. He told me, "Oh, Vasudev, you are on a crash program." He didn't say, oh, we're so sorry for your accident, but we hope you're getting better. No, he told me just openly, enthusiastically. He told me, "Vasudev, you are on a crash program." I don't know whether some of you understand what is meant by crash program. Crash program, when you have to go for a crash program, for instance, you're going to do, a PhD crash program. So instead of doing that program for 5 years, you may have to do it for 2 years or 2.5 years. It means that you'll be heavily loaded. If you don't have that stamina, that courage, you may just, drop out from the program. So crash program means you have a long way to go, but then the system will be shortened with heavy duty activities. So that was what he told me. So I accepted in good faith. I remember also enthusiastically, he had asked one devotee in those days. That was also in Lagos. During Mangarati, one devotee was not in Mangarati. So he had asked, just after the Mangarati, during the announcement, he has asked, I don't want to mention his name. He said, where is this devotee? So some devotees responded that, oh, he's sick, he's upstairs in the ashram. And he said, go and bring him here. It's better for him to die before the deities. Enthusiastically, he said that, and everybody accepted it with enthusiasm too. So the type of energy that we radiate amongst the people around us will generate a particular type of proaction or reaction. And therefore, there's so many things that we'll find that, yes, Bhakti Tirtha Swami is very loving, but even he does not treat people in the same way. One person, he gives one instruction here, another person, he gives another instruction. They may be of the same status. He is able to determine what type of skills and values you have to be able to withstand or to be able to deal with a particular type of instruction, or execute a particular type of instruction. And he does this with enthusiasm. And because enthusiasm is contagious, you will enthusiastically execute that service. I give you, for instance, the way he trained us up in Africa in those days. He trained us up like military, like the military. Either you swim across the ocean, or you sink. Now, I've traveled to a number of other countries, including the US. The way he brought up the devotees is not the same. So, like what Prabhupada would say, Dhira Kalapatra. Why? Because he is imbued with cultural intelligence. Now, for a leader who is not having cultural intelligence, it's very difficult for him or her to deal with diverse people from diverse cultures. He will not be able, or she will not be able to have that adaptability, to be able to motivate them, to be able to go into their personal life, to instill that sense of belonging in them. That Bhakti Tirtha Swami had it in full, and he was there for you at the greatest time of need. By dint of his enthusiasm, he was able to attract people from, even renunciants from other traditions. He had, and some of you may find it difficult to believe this. He had disciples, Brahmana disciples, who are reverend sisters in the Catholic. Have you ever heard of that? So people are talking about preaching, are talking about enthusiasm. What we can show about the enthusiasm of Bhakti Tirtha Swami and the effect of that on his followers, the effect of that on people who come around him, the effect of that on people who view his program, the effect of that on people who read his books. I know of one boy, one devotee in Florida. He just read one of his books and he came to get angry that this is my guru. I want to see him. I want to take initiation from him. The one is told him, well, he's left the planet. He was disappointed. So there is so much we can talk about the enthusiasm of, and therefore it is important for us to reflect and not just hear
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So
It is to be enthusiastic.
Yes. Yes, Maharaj.
So we have that great fortune of working with someone. Working with a guru, working with a friend, working with a lover who cares and was enthusiastic and was able to impact on the followers. And that enthusiasm is so much pervasive amongst his inner circle, as we'll find what they are doing is being sustained because of the enthusiasm. So I'd like to leave you here. And again, thank you very much for giving me the chance to be a part of your program.
Jai, thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Maharaj, you yourself so enthusiastically explained to us how Srila Bhakti. Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, you mentioned that enthusiasm is contagious, Maharaj, but I would say that your laughter is contagious, Maharaj. You have made us laugh so much. So thank you very much for that, Maharaj. Just like to mention some few points that you said, Maharaj, that the element of enthusiasm was always present in Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami, and that everything that we do, other the reading, our chanting, our devotional service itself should be with enthusiasm. And any devotee who comes in contact with Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, either by meeting him personally or by reading his books, would become easily enthused by Maharaj. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for being with us, despite some poor internet connection issues, network. You are here, Maharaj. Thank you so much for being here and for giving your precious time, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Jai Maharaj. Thank you so much. And now, dear devotees, we have our next guest speaker, Her Grace Kartamisha Mataji. And we'd like to invite Mataji on screen. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for joining us, Mataji. You're muted, Mataji. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, Her Grace Kartamisha Mataji met His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj around 1990-1991, and she became initiated in 1993 in the US. She served at Gita Nagari from 1995 until 2010 as a Pujari, treasurer, part of the management team, and many other services necessary. She served 8 years at the New Gokula Temple, North Carolina, and then relocated to Sri Vrindavan Dham, India, where she's currently based. Her services there include giving Bhagavad Gita classes, making sweets for temple deities, and assisting elder devotees in deity worship and devotee care. She has also been trained in deity worship and Bhakti Shastri, and previous to coming to serve at the IFAST, she was involved in social and political activist groups working on human rights worldwide, civil rights of African American, etc. So Hare Krishna Mataji, we're very happy to have you here amongst us. And now to show some as a token of appreciation and gratitude, Mataji, we'd like to offer you a garland, and we request Her Grace Vanshika, Bhakti Vanshika from Nairobi to offer Mataji a garland. Jai.
Hare Krishna Mataji, do not pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Please accept mine. So nice to see you.
Thank you. Kindly accept this garland from Shishi Radha Banke Bihari.
Jai, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Jai, Jai. Thank you very much, Bhakti Vanshika from Nairobi. So now we invite Her Grace Kartamisha Mataji to present her offering to Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I don't know where to begin. Actually, I'm a little nervous. I remember that once Guru Maharaj told me, he said, you don't like to share yourself much, do you? Which is true. I'm always a background. I like being a background person. I don't mind. So, but with the blessings of all the devotees and my senior God brothers and God sisters, please give me your blessings that I can share something about our Guru Maharaj. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasna Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Ashitamane Shri Gaur Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Swami Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasna Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivasesha Shunyavadi Paskachade Shadharane Mukum Korachivatalam Pangam Nagate Girim Yakutam Brande Shigurum Dina Taranam. By the mercy of the Guru, even a dumb man can become the greatest orator, and even a layman can cross mountains. And just as the Lord placed the conch shell on the head of Dhira Maharaj, I'm asking for the blessings of the devotees on my head so I can speak nicely, because it's difficult to glorify someone, who had so many divine and transcendental qualities as Guru Maharaj. So I wanted to start with just to give a little background about how I came to iFast. Actually, I had met devotees 10 years before I met Guru Maharaj. And because during that time, there was a lot of racial strife in the city where I was living, I didn't really take to the process nor interacted much with the devotees there, because I didn't see anyone who looked like me in the crowd. And of course, at that time, they were strange looking, even in general, to the general society. But I did take it back to Godhead. And then 10 years later, I moved to Washington, D.C. And I was working at a human rights organization. And before I went to lunch, I decided to listen to a talk program. And Guru Maharaj, well, I didn't know him as Guru Maharaj, and I heard him introduced as Srila Krishnapad. So I stayed and didn't go to lunch, and I stayed to hear what he was speaking about, because his introduction was about time management, vegetarian. I had already been a vegetarian for 10 years before I moved to Washington, but time management and the spiritual topics that I was interested in. But at the time, I was still involved in civil rights and actually militant groups like the Black Panther Party, certain things too, because I was looking for a way that will change humanity, that would bring about peace in the world, or that would change the situation we were in, particularly for African Americans. And I thought that was the way to do it. Just like Guru Maharaj, he was involved in those type of organizations, and just like his spiritual master didn't think that anything could be done unless India got independence. So I was of the same mindset. I was like, things have got to change. So then when I heard Guru Maharaj's voice, at that time, because I was so covered up, I knew I felt something, but I couldn't define what it was when I heard the voice. And later, in my later years involved in ISKCON and even coming to iFast, I realized after reading the scriptures, after reading Srila Prabhupada's purports, it speaks about the voice of the spiritual master. And I'd like to read something from the one that I found that speaks to what I was feeling, but didn't know I was feeling. And this is in Canto 4, chapter 20, text 25. And it said here, I'll just read several points in the purport that addresses the voice of the spiritual master. It says, the transcendental vibration from the mouth of a pure devotee is so powerful that it can revive the living entity's memory of his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In our material existence, under the influence of illusion and Maya, we have almost forgotten our eternal relationship with the Lord, exactly like a man sleeping very deeply, who forgets his duties. And it's a long purport, but I'll just go to another one that talks about the spiritual master's voice, the pure devotee's voice. Although when a pure devotee speaks, the articulation of his voice may resemble the sound of this material sky. The voice is spiritually very powerful because it touches the particles of saffron dust on the lotus feet of the Lord. As soon as a sleeping living entity hears the powerful voice emanating from the mouth of a pure devotee, he immediately remembers his eternal relationship with the Lord, although up until that moment, he had forgotten everything. And so this, I realized was exactly what I was feeling, but at the time I didn't know that's what it was. So I began going to, after hearing him that he was going to speak at Howard University, I said, oh no, I have to go. And at that time I had met Mother Indrani, bless her soul, and we decided to go together to hear, at that time, Srila Krishnapad speak at Howard University. And of course, he was wearing the type of attire that I and others like myself could relate to in terms of our African identity, although we know that that was what he was utilizing to bring us closer to the process. And I know that, later on I learned that, of course, he got flack from his different way of preaching, but we see that he had the results of how he related to everyone, as Maharaja Vasudev said, drew people to him. He crossed all barriers and he was trying to bring us to that level. So after hearing him, then I began going to the Institute. And he engaged me and we engaged in different services there. And for myself, it took me some time because I had been living in the material world for so long. I left home at 18 and I didn't come to the movement or come to meet my spiritual master after searching all over the place until I was in my early 40s. So being a single woman out in the material world, actually, and after so much exploitation, you become very suspicious of organizations and you become cautious about what you get into. So it took me a while. I observed first before I was deciding that this is where I would like to learn, that he had something that I needed to learn. And as I was coming and going, there was a lot of things that happened during that time. And there's one thing that I did. There's so many things. I had a lot of association with him, a lot of interactions with him, not more than the senior devotees who were initiated before I was, but Gurudev could see into my heart. And I think he understood that I was angry, that I was hurt, and he treated me in a very sensitive way. So the first thing I have to tell is this dream that I had. I started coming to the Institute and he engaged me in certain services. And, but when I went there, even though I could see that the devotees were giving obeisances, I wouldn't do it. I would just sit and watch. And this happened a lot. And so he came in my dream. Before that, let me say, before that time though, he had given me a service to make an outfit for him. So I made an African outfit for him because I had been doing outfits for people in my community. That's what some of my my second job, I was doing outfits, designing outfits for African Americans. So he came in my dream, and he was sitting in a chair at the Institute, and he had on the outfit that I had made for him. And he said, you know, I'm feeling so much emotion about my Guru Maharaj. So excuse me. He said, he explained to me why you should pay obeisances to the spiritual master, and that he wasn't accepting it for himself, that he was accepting it on behalf of his spiritual master, and that it's to give honor to the representative of Krishna who's giving you the information and how to get out of the material world. So from then, after that, then I said, I relented and started giving obeisances. And also I remember in terms of getting the initiation, before we were initiated, I remember Fragilila, who I gave so much difficulty to. I'm sure she remembers that. We had to write like an essay so he could see what we understood about what he was saying, you know. So then I think, might not have the timing exactly right, but then, you know, we got initiation. And even at the initiation, because Bhakti Vasudeva Maharaj was talking about Gurudev's dancing, and how also I've seen how he always danced, you know, wherever he went. But I remember when I got the initiation, it was in Maryland. And after the initiation, he went out into the backyard, and he was so enthusiastically dancing with the devotees, and they were all following him, and he was beating his drum. And I was just, as usual, just looking. I was just standing on the sidelines looking. Even though I had just gotten initiated, I was still dull, very dull. And he came by me with his drum, and he was beating on the drum, and he looked me in the face and he said, "Dance, dance." But unfortunately, I wouldn't. I just stood there like we call in America, like a bump on a log. A bump on a log can't move. It's not going anywhere. So I was just sitting there, just like standing there, looking. I wasn't actually ready to really give all of myself. But then after some time, after I had moved, because I moved to 𝐸𝐸 per his instructions, he had gone to Africa. And before he left, he told me to go to 𝐸𝐸. I had gotten the first initiation in 1993 and the second one in 1994 in Detroit. And then after that, he asked me to go to 𝐸𝐸. So Bali Maharaj, bless his sweetheart, I know he's sitting at Gurudev's feet. He's the one that helped me move to 𝐸𝐸, and I was received by Mother Kalini, who took me to my room. And from there on, for the first 6 months, I was dressing Gorni Thai. But then I got the position of head Pujari. Actually, I had prayed to Radha Damodar when I saw them. There was another Pujari who was dressing Radha Damodar, but she had a husband who was ill, and sometimes he'd have to come and get her because he needed her for something. And I turned around to Shri Shri Radha Damodar and I told them, I said, if you let me dress you, I'll never make you wait. So sometime after that, then I got the position of head Pujari at 𝐸𝐸 and taking care of them, which was all the mercy of Guru Maharaj, because can you imagine dressing the same Shri Shri Radha Damodar who traveled Vishnu Swami and Tamal Krishna Maharaj, how could I, totally unqualified, have gotten, that service, that Guru Maharaj gave me that service? And when I first started, I would always really take shelter of Guru Maharaj then. I would ask him so many questions about what to do, how to handle this. This is happening, what should I do? Because once I moved to 𝐺𝐸, to me, it was my surrender to the process that he was trying to give to me. And so I always asked him, whatever I was doing, I would just go and ask him, should I do this? What's this? This is happening, because I didn't really understand. And I knew that he put me there for a reason. One is, as I said, not because I was qualified, but because Guru Maharaj also made a statement by putting me there, because we know in a lot of places there was, problems with women, being able to do service, particularly the incident of Mother Vishaka trying to give class in, I don't know if it was Vrindavan or Mayapur, and there was an issue, and there's have been issues. So he was making a statement too, which is why he gave me, part of why he gave me that service. But also because during the time I was at IFAS, he was actually trying to see what was my propensity, because he would engage me in certain things, like particularly when I first went to the Institute, he had me reupholster the couch that was there at the Institute. Then he had me make his outfits. And then he told me, oh, okay, I want you to be you'll be my designer. You'll make my clothes for me. When he brought the deities, Radha Gopinath, to the temple, when he returned from India and he had Radha Gopinath, he called me upstairs and he said to me, and I didn't know anything about deities. In fact, when I first went to the Institute, even though Gaur Nitai were there, I remember just seeing a black box and light coming out, but I didn't actually see the deities. So I didn't know much about, deity worship or dressing or anything. But he called me upstairs and Radha Gopinath was sitting on the table and he said to me, I want you to start making outfits for Radha Gopinath. So he engaged me in that way to make outfits for them. So at the time I was working in an import store, and the Mataji, the woman who was running the store, had to go to Ghana. So she engaged me to take care of the store while she was gone. And also in the store, she was also making African outfits, and she knew that I could sew. So that's why she engaged me. But the whole time she was gone, all I did was make outfits for Radha Gopinath. And when she came back, she was a little disturbed because I hadn't really made a lot of money. She was a money person. She was a hustler. And I hadn't made a lot of money at all. And she wasn't happy about the fact that the coffers weren't very full. But I was on another trip. I was doing this service for my Guru Maharaj, making the outfits, which I love doing. One thing I wanted to also talk about, go back to is this, our similar backgrounds in terms of working in civil rights, or I remember going to the March on Washington, I think it was in 1963, that was organized by Martin Luther King. And also, all this is history. So anyone who's interested in the history to see what was happening during that time, I'm sure it's on Google or YouTube or one of those sites. But there was also a whole stance by some members of the African American population who joined a group called the Black Panther Party, who were very militaristic. And also, there was also Malcolm X, who was part of the Black Muslim community. So I was totally involved in this because I thought, no, we need to change something. Something needs to change here. But then I began to realize that it wasn't happening. And I wondered why it wasn't happening, because if I looked historically at all the movements that were going on in terms of trying to change the situation for particularly African Americans, because I was on the bodily platform, I didn't know why do we keep doing the same thing over and over again and get the same result? What is the problem? And there was sometimes some gain, but the gain was not for the entire population. What really happened was some of the African Americans were pushed forward, and of course they went into the job sectors, they made more money, and it only meant more sense gratification. It didn't mean a change in circumstances. So, but when I met Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, and he told the pastime about him talking to his spiritual master, saying that there's racism in your ISKCON. Did you know that there's racism? And Prabhupada's answer, which really enthused Gurudev to move forward. And the same way that his spiritual master enthused him, Gurudev enthused me. And I felt free for the first time in my life of this designation of being a victim. We're not victims. If we read the scriptures, we can understand that we're not victims. And I was also understanding that none of the isms or attempts at mature world reformation will change anything. Because the mature world is a mature world. It's going to stay the way it is. We can, which doesn't mean that we don't give out the books, that we don't talk to the leaders like Gurudev was doing, how he drew leaders to him to hear what he had to say, because he had the potency to do that. But in general, the real problem in the world is birth, death, old age, and disease. And everyone, whatever your color, we're going to experience it. And also, Gurudev's mood helped me develop more compassion for myself and more compassion for others. So, meaning that we shouldn't just focus on what's happening with us. We need to focus on what's happening with everyone in the world. Everyone is suffering. I understood that just because I'm in the Black body doesn't mean I'm the only one suffering. Everyone in the world is suffering. And if we look historically, we can see, the Jews, the Native Americans, all the wars. There's so much history about exploitation and abuse of different groups of people in this material world. So the focus is not just on us. The compassion and the sacrifices that Gurudev made. Just look, he went to Europe and sold so many books. He was so successful. He depended on his spiritual master, and he depended on Krishna. And if Krishna wants something to happen, it will happen. And I remember he used to say, that we shouldn't be having pity parties. And in reference to, what body we get in Canto 11, and it's all through the scriptures about karma. and about how we selected our own bodies. And in 10, 11, 12, it says, the spirit soul who has entered into the material body accepts bodily functions according to the reactions of his own past activities. Nothing is an accident. Therefore, only the bona fide transcendental spiritual master is capable of demonstrating pure knowledge of the self. Who are we actually? And how can we stop this repeated birth and death? And how can we go back home, back to Godhead, and help bring others there, no matter how we have to do it? And Gurudev said, I think he said that he would wear a diaper if necessary to preach, to bring people closer. And one incident, and how concerned he was, I remember once when I was at the Institute, I think it was one woman had heard him on the radio and had wanted to meet Gurudev or speak with him, but somehow we all fluffed it up. I mean, it was, something happened that we weren't paying close attention, and we didn't pay attention to her need. And Gurudev was upset. This was one soul, but he was totally disturbed that we hadn't really paid attention or tried to accommodate her so that she could connect with him. And what endeared him more to me was his interaction with my father. My father had come to 𝐷𝐸𝐻. In fact, Gurudev and Chandramauli had picked up my father in Baltimore, Maryland, and brought him here to 𝐷𝐸𝐻. And my father was in a quandary. He was very disturbed because after 54 years of marriage, my mother had left him. And he was totally bewildered about what happened. And Guru Maharaj patiently took him in and talked with him and made him feel at home, and also gave him a book. I think you might remember the book. It's called Women Are From Venus and Men Are From Mars. He was just trying to give my father some comfort, to understand what had happened. But I think it happened because, just see, as a result of that, he came to 𝐷𝐸𝐻. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come, because they were living in Anchorage, Alaska at the time. But then he moved to Baltimore because of the breakup. So Krishna had arranged, Krishna's so wonderful, Krishna had arranged that he get this opportunity to actually meet a spiritual master, to have his association, to ride in the car back from Baltimore, which is about, what, I don't know, 5-hour ride. And Chandramauli jokingly said, your father is quite a character. He loves to talk. My father loves to talk. He'll talk with anybody. I don't care who you are. He was in the army for about 40 years. So Gurudev was so sensitive to his feelings. And he told me, your father is so sweet. So that also pulled at my heartstrings when he actually took him in that way. And I want to just, I don't want to go over time, but I want to talk about some of the interactions that he and I had, my Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and I had. Of course, I told you, oh, okay, I listed them as I remembered them. I told about the dream, that he came to me in the dream to tell me about paying obeisances. And then one time I was coming out of I fast, and I was very disturbed because I had had some interactions with the devotees. My purification had already started then, but I didn't realize that's what it was. So I was leaving. I'm like, okay, I'm going home. And as I was coming out, he was coming in, and he looked at me and he said, so what is the difficulty? Is it your friends or your enemies? And I was trying to process that, trying to figure out, okay, what does he mean? No. And these won't be in chronological order because I didn't put it that way. But things that struck me about my interaction with him. One time he took me off the altar because he wanted me to make an outfit. Now, before we made the outfit, we went shopping. He took us shopping. It was myself, Lalita Amrita, and him and another Prabhu. We went to what is it? Joanne Fabrics and State College, because he wanted to help me pick out the fabric. He was so, what should I say? Just comfortable in his skin. There was no issue. And I could accept it that way. So we went looking for the fabric and he was consulting with me. What do you think about this one? What do you think about that one? And we picked the fabric and the lining. And then we brought it back to 𝐸𝐸. And that whole process, he was on my case, like we say, white on rice. He was calling and telling me, when is it going to be ready? I obtained a level of perfection in my sewing that I didn't even know I had because of his pushing me. So then he would call me up there and say, are you finished yet? Are you finished? I never even made anything like that before. I never made anything like that before. But because of his pushing me to meet his expectation, it came out very beautiful. But the whole process was disturbing for me because he kept calling and calling and pushing and pushing. And then after a while, he knew that I was getting disturbed. So then he had someone else call me and tell me, tell Kartamisha to bring the outfit. I want to see it. So I brought it up. He tried it on and he pointed out things that needed to be done and asked me what I thought. And I took it back and fixed it. And then it worked. He liked it, you know? So that was one interaction. That was the second shopping trip. The first shopping trip was going when we were in DC, and we went with 𝐶𝐬𝐬 and myself, and Gurudev went to an antique shop just before he moved to 𝐸𝐸. He wanted to pick out the furniture for where he was going to be staying. And he was had a very fine taste of how he wanted things to be and very much into detail. So please, you can let me know if I'm going over time.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes.
Am I going over time?
No, it's okay, Mataji. You can conclude. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'll conclude, you know. And it's not that he didn't give me the sauce at time when he thought maybe I could take it. He came back from a trip. He had given me another outfit to make and I was dragging my feet. This was when he wasn't feeling well. So when I went up to offer, we would do Guru Puja, and when I went up to offer flower petals to his feet, and he started like chastising me. I was already down offering and he started chastising me, saying, where's the outfit? Why are you taking so long? You've had so much time, and you know, and I was totally blown away. I could hardly speak, you know, about this. It was another same type of outfit that he wanted me to make for him. But I had to process that too, because it took me a long time to process that sauce that he gave me. So Okay. And also, one more thing, when I was doing that service, Pujari service, at one point I fractured my ankle and I had to go to the hospital. And Gurudev came to express his concern. He visited to see how I was doing. And his giving me that service means that he had decided that this was what my propensity was, that I could do this service too, because it's very detailed oriented, and you have to really pay attention to the deities and the deities' needs. And one more thing, whenever I was when I was there, I had dreams about him as well. But this time the dreams were about, whenever I dreamt about him at 𝐁𝐡𝐚𝐤𝐭𝢢, it was always him and me and Radha Damodara. It was always he and me and the deities together. So, which meant to me that only the spiritual master can connect you with the Lord, with the deities. No, you can't take any credit for yourself in terms of what you're doing, because it doesn't belong to you. And I know at times I had a tendency to act as though I was the proprietor of the deities. But he, in his way, how we related, when he came into my dream, I understood that it's only through him that I was able to do the service. Just like when Arjuna, when Krishna left the planet, Arjuna, all his weapons wouldn't work anymore. He didn't have the same strength, because it was only because Krishna was his friend and Krishna was present. And so it also says in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:25-28 that the devotional service most suitable for different types of devotees is determined and fixed by the mercy of the spiritual master. So I think I should try to conclude, although there's so much to talk about in terms of my Guru Maharaj, but I know I wouldn't be here in Vrindavan if it wasn't for Gurudev. And Vrindavan Vrindavan can be everywhere. It's everywhere that there's a temple. It's everywhere where the spiritual master, the pure devotee, has put his feet. But here, because I have material senses and I can't see the real Vrindavan, so I understood that being in Vrindavan is in the fire of your own consciousness. You're in the fire of your own consciousness. You have to adjust your consciousness because everything is in your face. Everything. All your anathas are showing, and you accept it or not, doesn't make any difference. And you get a lot of purification. I've been sick this last couple of years, but I'm well again. But this is all the purification. And so what I do here is what Gurudev wanted. I serve the senior devotees, especially the older women. I do services for them. I take them where they need to go. I serve whatever projects they want. If they want me to go somewhere or do something, I do that. I've been able to organize the Vyasa-puja here for him. And I'm giving the Gita class. But you have to be ready for the purification. And it helps change your consciousness because you can't see the real Vrindavan. So you just have to change your consciousness and have, no matter where you are, have that Vrindavan consciousness. So I'd like to end here because I don't want to infringe on anyone's time. And thank you so much for allowing me to speak about Guru Maharaj. And I'm not Sankarshan, Baladev, Balaram is still repeating the glories of the Lord over and over again. And this is what also we can speak about Gurudev, about His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. We can keep talking forever because His qualities are limitless. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Actually, we are very grateful to you, Mataji, for so beautifully and sweetly transporting us into these beautiful pastimes of Srila Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. And it was so inspiring and enlightening to hear you, Mataji. Thank you so much for joining us, Mataji. Thank you. Jai. Thank you so much. And now, Jai, Hare Krishna, Mataji. And now, dear devotees, we have reached, yes, Hare Krishna. So we have reached the end of the first part of our session 4. And now I would like to invite on screen my co-MC, Her Grace Ishani Mataji. And Mataji will be your MC for the second part of the program. And thank you very much, dear devotees, for being such a wonderful assembly. Jai, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to all the assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. I hope you all are taking advantage of this blissful association of devotees from all over the globe. So before we head towards the next part, I would like to mention, if you are facing any difficulties or if you are having any queries, kindly write to Ask Your Servant in the chat box and they will guide you. Let's move on to the next part of our program, that is a short video song by His Grace Matsya Prabhu.
Care for your son comes first, then the care for yourself. For you're selfless indeed, in a way far beyond I could thought. You are wise in the art of begging, but no one knows what goes behind the cross. The load you carry in your heart, or releasing the forgotten soul. I'm a beggar, doesn't know how to beg, and I've been told that you've been crying for me. So I'll turn the key and open the door. I'm a beggar who doesn't know how to beg, and I've been told that you carry my sin. So I'll die to live, live and try to give. The world is changing day by day, and with all the struggles you remain the same. But your love and your faith in the Lord overflows in beautiful ways. When I hear your voice that chokes, compassion, tears rolling down your face, I'm sure I've met someone who's been touched by the mercy of His divine grace. I'm a beggar who doesn't know how to beg, and I've been told that you've been crying for me. So I'll turn the key and open the door. I'm a beggar, doesn't know how to beg, and I've been told carry my sin, so I'll die to live, and live and try to give. You're a beggar, you're the beggar. You're a beggar. You're the beggar.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Matsya Prabhu, for presenting us such a wonderful song. Thank you so much. Now we head towards the next section, that is offerings by well-wishers and disciples to the legend in our heart, that is His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. So today we have His Grace Rukma Prabhu from Nairobi. Prabhuji has joined ISKCON in 1980. Since then, he has served in various capacities such as cleaner, staff controller, management of programs, and temple president. He has also been engaged in deity worship for 31 years. He is Namahatta leader, preaching and teaching the Bhagavad Gita in English, Hindi, Gujarati, and in local languages. He is presently serving as Vice President, Trustee, and preaching in most centers in Kenya and Tanzania. I would like to invite Prabhuji to kindly come and share the heartfelt offering.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Before I present my offerings, I'll pay my humble respects to His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, and also to Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and all the devotees who are here. I was told to make an offering, so I'll try my best. So respected His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Krishna Bhat Swami, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. Your grace will always remain in our memories, for your grace is instrumental in bringing myself and my entire family into Krishna consciousness. I recall going back into the 80s when your grace would come to Nairobi Temple, which at that time was a very small center, just about a small house with few rooms inside. And not many people would come, because even on a Sunday feast, maybe about 30 people come, 40 people come. And we had no servants, and literally speaking, the temple was really struggling. So at that time, we used to come more than 3 times in a year. So we are actually obliged to you that how much you had supported our temple. On the first visit to Nairobi, I was very much attracted that you're a down-to-earth person, very humble, very charismatic character. Your smile is so attractive that we always like to be with you. And your speech was soft and yet bold, and that you spoke of the importance of Krishna consciousness movement. In those years, I used to stay not far from the Hare Krishna temple because I was a working person and I had a family to look after. And on many occasions, I'd walk with you from the temple to home and even back. And you will visit our home so many times. It was like we were in one family. And especially my mother, who is not there anymore, she used to really like you. And she would prepare special prasadam for you. And then, first coming to her home, my mother said, you see, he's a pure sadhu. So our duty is to wash his feet. But he did not agree. He did not allow us to wash his feet. And he just folded his feet up into the sofa. And he didn't allow that. He is so humble. For long we have been hearing about from Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj about how would infuse everyone in Krishna consciousness. But I saw more than that is his humility personified. So very humble. And even when you speak to him, if you try to him, his hands were always folded like that. And he would accept even a very small thing. And he was very charming, very sweet with everyone. And my mother said that serve him very nicely. And I had many, many occasions to serve him. In the 80s, if you remember that, Nairobi Temple was going through difficulties, devotees were living, at least up to 80, 89, 90. A time came when there were only 2 devotees at the temple. And even I was told to stay in the temple every night. And I recall I had to stay in the temple for more than one to 2 years. Every night I would sleep in the temple, do my service in the morning, go to my job. In this way, now our Nairobi temple is much, much bigger. And we have many, many devotees. For those who have visited the Nairobi temple, you can realize that it's an attractive temple. It's like a palace, beautiful temple. So we are obliged to His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj that if you had not come, then we would have never had your mercy. Because you are like the people, you are the persons who gave us Krishna consciousness right from the scratch. I was very new in those days because 80s was almost the beginning. And I didn't know much about who is a senior devotee, who is a junior devotee. And I would just walk to you like any other casual person. But you are so merciful that you gave your sung to me, your association to me. And I can still say that I've never seen a humble person like you in the whole of my life. Humble, personified, at the same time, very straightforward in your dealing. That you speak things right on the spot. I remember we had some problem with the temple president's wife in those days. And you boldly told her that, please don't come when I am around. Because she had a habit of interrupting every program. So it's not that you were humble and you were not bold. You were humble at the same time, very bold in all your dealings. In every occasion we were with you, we would share prasad together, we would eat together. I feel now very guilty that I should have treated you much more better than that. But I was still new, I was a very young boy at that time. And I didn't know how the sannyasis should be treated. But I tried my best. My family tried my best. And you will simply accept any boga you offer. Now I know that when you serve sannyasi, there has to be a big variety of food. But in those days, even if we offered you 4 to 5 items, you were very happy. And I know practically whenever you are in Nairobi, you will eat at our house. And I can't forget you, how you have been with us, how we walk together. We discuss many, many things about the future of the Nairobi temple. So you are like the pioneer of our temple. Because not many Maharajas would come at that temple. In those times. And after all, as the years passed by, and I can realize one thing, that you had the mercy of Nityanand Prabhu, definitely. Because now when I read the books, that the way you could preach, the way you could speak, it is impossible for any ordinary person to speak like that. So I feel today that definitely Balaram or Nityanand was with you, that you could preach to everyone. I recall in some visit when you come to Nairobi, you speak about your meeting with President Mandela, and a very good friend of the president of Zambia, President Kenneth Kaunda. You had meeting with them. So in you we had seen, in Maharaj you had seen all the qualities of the sadhu, as Kapil Muni explains to Mother devotee. Titikshava karunika suritam sarva bhutanam ajata shatrava shanta sadhu Madhu Bhushanam. All the qualities of the sadhu were seen in you. And I cannot forget you for the rest of my life. I still remember your face, your demeanor, and your smiling face. And really speaking, like, we really miss you. And wherever you are, I mean, of course, devotees, Vaishnavas never go, but to us, you are inspiration, and you inspired me many, many times. Because in those days, if a little problem occurs, you'd say, take it easy, go on with your service, and you'd push us. And you'd push us to an extent, never miss your morning program, chant your rounds, and make sure you come daily without fail. And by His mercy, I have tried to follow my best to follow that program. These are the words I would like to conclude with. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. And I would also like to thank Nitai Chaitanya Prabhu and Hari Pran Mataji for allowing me to speak a little about Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful insights from the life of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami while he used to visit Nairobi, and how he helped in the early days of the temple, and how humble, at the same time fearless and bold he was. Thank you so much. So now we have another offering by His Grace Shalika Das Adhikari. Prabhuji is disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami and is the temple president of ISKCON on Plateau and vice chairman at the National Council of the movement in Nigeria. He is also comparative regionalist and specialist in interfaith dialogue. He is a member of the Governing Council of Global Interfaith University, USA. He is also a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Leadership and Education Development, USA, and lectures at many universities. He has organized and participated in several interfaith programs, published books, journals, and papers on topics such as religion, peace development, and conflict resolution. So I'd like to invite Prabhuji to kindly come and share the offering.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. First, offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace Bhakti Tirtha Swami Prabhupada, my dear spiritual masters, the Bhakti Tirtha Swami Gurudev, to all of the assembled devotees, especially my superiors who, by their mercy, been able to be identified today as one of the servants of the Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. I want to especially thank His Holiness Bhakti Damodara Swami by showing an example how a disciple should glorify his spiritual master by using his resources and disciples to organize this wonderful activity. Because there is a short time, I will just go straight into the my little offering. First, Mukankaroti Vachalam Pangam Lagayate Girim, Yakripat Vande, Shri Guru Dinatarinam. So, whenever I'm actually asked to speak about Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj, I just get emotional because I always like the words to actually express my appreciation to him. But today I've been trying since the program started not to just burst into tears again today. Actually, when he talked about Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, how can one glorify one who is already glorified by the Supreme Lord himself? So what mouth does someone like me have to glorify His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj? When you want to glorify a personality, you look at the symptoms or a thing, you look at the symptoms and characteristics of that person, and then you can be able to actually decide what kind of a person that person is. And when we look from the spiritual trajectory and the history of the globe, you'll see that even from our Western philosophy, from our Western understanding, when you look at the personalities like Jesus Christ, while he was on the planet, he had little or none who was able to identify and glorify his activities. When we look at the Muslim tradition, Prophet Muhammad, peace of Allah be upon him, was never glorified while he was on the earth. And when we look at our Vaishnava background, our Vaishnava culture, and the history of our Vaishnava gurus and acharyas, when you look at even from the immediate time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on this planet, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, his activities were not really much spread across the globe as it is today. And when we look at the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching, from Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, even our own Srila Prabhupada, while they were on the planet, they were able to make so much of wonderful activities in touching lives. But their glories become more grave and manifested after they left the planet. And that is not surprising why Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, he has so many disciples while on this earth planet while he was with us. But I have noticed as one that his activities are becoming more glorified when he actually leaves us, which is actually very unfortunate because, and it's glorious because this is the part of the acharyas. When I start looking in the last couple of days, when we're talking about the Vyasa-puja of Srila Gurudev, and I was looking at how many lives he has touched within the last 17 years and the time while he was on the planet. Anyone who has taken time to look at these statistics will see that he has touched more lives in the last 17 years than at any time while he was on the planet. And that is to show how he is in the line of those great personalities that I've mentioned earlier. The glories of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, no words for a conditioned soul can glorify him. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, King Prarudra, when he was when he met the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time, there is a statement he made in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 11th Madhya Lila, chapter 11, text number 95. After hearing about the glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees and their activities, he himself, he made a very, very wonderful statement in that verse, and he said that indeed their effulgence, referring to the devotees of the Lord, is like that, like the brilliance of a millions of suns. And he expressed that he has never had the Lord's name chanted so melodiously. And when we have been listening in the last 3 days about the glories of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, the way he chanted the names of the Lord, the way he reacts to the name of the Lord, the way he expresses the name of the Lord, the way he gives the holy name of the Lord, is so much glorified in this verse. And in that particular verse, quoted by the king, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, such are the symptoms of pure devotees, because when they are chanting, all pure devotees are as bright as sunshine, and their bodily luster is very effulgent. This is the statement directly from the scriptures, and it expresses, when one looks at this kind of glorification, one will kind of perceive to a degree the glories, the personality of the Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. There is no much of a time. You cannot, even if one has a millions of mouths, tongues, he cannot glorify enough Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. I found myself as one of the fortunate person on the globe today, being identified as his disciple, because when you look at the kind of the personality of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, I can't even imagine how somehow or other, I don't know what kind of piety, I don't know what kind of fortune that I've gotten in my previous life to be born in this life and to be associated directly with him. I read about the Christian consciousness movement in 1989, and the first particular encounter I had with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was in 1992, when we had an opportunity to go on an arena, and so many speakers have talked about these wonderful activities of his ability to capture the mind, be it his smile, with his dancing, with his kirtan. And we went on an arena at Oshodi in Lagos that year, and it was such a captivating thing. Of course, my meeting with Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj started far before I even joined Krishna, several years before I joined Krishna consciousness, because prior to my joining Krishna consciousness, I would always see him in my dream. And I never realized what that dream was until about 3-4 years after I joined the movement, when I got my first initiation, because he would come in my dream, and as old as I was, as at that time, close to my 30th year, I would see him come in a dream, and he would directly be bathing me like a mother bathing a child. And I was wondering this dream several years before I finally came in contact with Krishna consciousness. And when I met him physically, it's such an, you can't just express it. His personality is just beyond description. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, I feel so unqualified to be able to actually talk about his characteristics because it's so huge that it's difficult to actually express his personality. But one of the most things what I've always think about, when he left the planet in 2005, I start wondering, how do I put together my relationship with these great personalities? And whatever I'm doing today is as a result of his enthusiasm, his compassion, his love, his caring for everyone. He's such a personality that it does not matter whether you're a devotee. In fact, in one of his lectures, he expresses that when he mentioned the Mayapur one time, I think that was in 2003, when he said in the GBC meeting, when he said, actually, everyone is a devotee. And that is how he is. When he looks, he sees each and everyone, in and everyone. And this is the qualities in the Bhagavatam that is expressed, that a pure devotee sees everyone as a devotee. And that's how Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj is. His glories are unlimited. And I start appreciating him the more, even in the recent years, when I start going into international communities to do, try to preach. And when I meet someone, the moment you mentioned that, they ask, oh, you are Hare Krishna? And I said, yes. And they said, okay, I'm a disciple of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. And you will be shocked from any part of the world. There was a time I was in a particular UN program and I met someone who was coming from Yugoslavia. And when I met that person, when I mentioned, in my introduction, when I was being introduced as a disciple of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, the person could not, till today, he kept on, he said, I want to continue to talk with you because I've been longing for that opportunity to have someone who has had a direct meeting with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. I said, I've read his books. I read all of it. It is my guiding principle. Even though I'm not an Hare Krishna person, that particular person is a Muslim, but till today we talk, since the year we met. So the glories of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, because of time, there is so much we can say, but the interesting thing is that they're like the rays of the sun, the shining of the sun. Their glories cannot be, you cannot express it with the word of mouth, because the words of mouth are not enough to be able to express such personalities, because they are direct manifestation of God. Just like the sunshine is a glorious manifestation of the sun. The pure devotees of the Lord, you see them, how they expand their nature in expressing, and the scriptures have glorified this in so many ways. So I would like to stop here because of time. My personal relationship and activities with him are so many that time will not allow me to go into that, because if I go into that, I may be taking into another person's time. So I would like to stop here. But summarily, what I'm trying to say is that the characteristics and the symptoms of a personality is what describes that person. And from the scripture, from practical life experience, one can see that Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj is not a person of this material world. He's an unusual person. One of his nicknames that is given to him in Africa is that they call him an unusual personality. And that is actually who he is, because he's of this material world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful offering. As you said, it was really inspiring for us, like how Maharaj is already glorified by Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as you mentioned, that millions of mouths cannot glorify him, that glorious he was. And we as grand disciples of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami could relate to his mood by your kind words. We would like to again thank you so much for your offerings. Now let's hear another nectarian offering by His Grace Vidura Prabhu. His Grace Vidura Prabhu is disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami. Prabhuji is based in Mauritius and has served as secretary at Radha Golokanand Mandir, secretary to Bhaktivedanta College of Education and Culture, and also at ISKCON Public Relations Office. He coordinates a radio program at 𝐿𝐴 Krishna at Mauritius Broadcasting Corporation. He retired as a senior educator after 42 years of secondary school and is currently engaged in preaching activities like Sadachar, ISKCON Disciple Course, and systematic study of Srila Prabhupada's books. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please
Hare
share your
Krishna,
offering.
Mataji. Hare Krishna to the assembled Vaishnav. Hare Krishna to His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Damodara Swami. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So waiting for you in Mauritius to bring you to the national program as usual.
Thank you.
Okay. So offering to His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami on his 70th Vyasa-puja celebration. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami iti namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami iti namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine. Dear Maharaj, my personal encounter with you was through rendering service to your divine grace. In 2002, we were planning for weeks on a national seminar on social degradation through the ISKCON Public Relations and Communication Office of Mauritius. Invitations were already sent to both to the public and private bodies. By just seeing your credentials, I received calls from people from different walks of life: judges, advocates, educators, managers, politicians, NGOs, and members from our congregation, confirming the presence for the seminar. We were busy planning, and unfortunately, there was a cyclone, what you call a storm that you have in Europe now, was due to hit Mauritius with a gust of more than 100 km/h on the same day that the seminar was due to be held. On the eve of the event, Maharaj came to our office to oversee our planning. How was going the planning for tomorrow's event, that is the next day event. The very moment I met you, I could see the love radiating from your face and your unforgettable smile. Unfortunately, the event had to be cancelled the same night because the cyclone, that is the storm, was due to hit Mauritius. But however, the cyclone helped us to understand, helped us to learn certain lessons that Maharaj gave us. Number one, never get discouraged in life. Do your best. Krishna will be pleased. Number two, in case the cyclone hits the island, someone should be present at the venue the next day to present the apology, to show that ISKCON is a respectable organization. I was delegated to do the service. Number three, cyclones have personalities, and some people can communicate with them. We can only pray to the Lord in the moment of difficulties, as you have been teaching in your books, The Beggar. Number four, due to this cyclone, Maharaj, you had to be moved to the house of a congregation member. With the power cut due to electrical problems, now cyclone is in Mauritius and the gust is 100 km, electric poles were fallen and there was power cut. And this made the situation more difficult for Maharaj. Your personal secretary told me that in this situation, his Guru Maharaj was never idle during the time, but engaged in continuous chanting of the holy name. He even started to write the beggar volume 5, in the midst of the cyclone, from his personal notes book, which he always keeps with him. And this, I remind you, it is with a dim candle light. No electricity now. With on a candle, he was writing the book. Next, humility. Once, Maharaj, you were invited after the storm to take prasad at the place of a devotee. You went, but the householder was late because he was at work, and you kept waiting patiently. When he came late, you told the devotee with great humility, "Look at this man. Look at this man. The whole world is waiting for me, and he makes me wait for him. Look at this man. The whole world is waiting for me, and he makes me wait for him." That's your humility, Maharaj. Next, on inclusion. Maharaj was at the departure lounge at the airport. One devotee asked to have a souvenir photo, like we do. Our Guru Maharaj is here. We like to take photos with him. And what the servant did, he called only the devotees, that is the initiated devotees of Maharaj. Instantly, Maharaj stopped him. We are an ISKCON family, and in Prabhupada's family, everyone's guru must be included. I quote, "We are an ISKCON family, and Prabhupada's family, everyone's guru must be included." What a practical lesson of inclusion. Instruction to his disciple. In a meeting with his aspiring and disciples, you said, "One thing I dislike is that devotees fighting among themselves." One thing I dislike is that devotees fighting among themselves. On chanting, Maharaj, by your personal example, you showed by sitting near Srila Prabhupada Asan at Sri Sri Radha Golokananda temple, and in a meditative way, how to chant our rounds. This increases my faith in chanting, which I still carry on up to now. Maharaj, in your visit in 2003, I still remember how you enthused the devotees with your unique steps, never seen in Mauritius. But without anyone knowing, you tolerated the pain from your legs for the pleasure of your devotees. At that time, Maharaj started to be ill. And lastly, on compassion. In your last visit to Mauritius again, one couple visited you, and Maharaj, you said, I quote, "I can see you are anxious from your face." You know, Maharaj, as usual, he can read from the face of the person. The couple was hesitant. "Yes, our daughter is having high fever. Our daughter is having high fever." You know what Maharaj did immediately? Immediately, Maharaj, you told your secretary to collect all the envelopes in the drawer and to handle them to the couple. These were the Lakshmi, that is the money collected from the Dakshina, from the devotees, without counting anything, without counting, no. And asked the couple to see a doctor and to buy proper medicines. After some time, you left Maharaj. You started to receive unfavorable reports on one of your personal servants who had to leave the temple. In a letter you wrote, I quote, "Full-time full-time devotee is not meant for everyone. They can say everything on you, but I know your heart." So Maharaj knows everyone's heart. And he continues, Krishna consciousness can be practiced everywhere you are, unquote. This is true compassion. So Maharaj, you exemplified for me by your personal examples the lessons of our Vedic literatures, a true representative man of Srila Prabhupada. So on this auspicious event, and in the same mood of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, let us keep a thought to the devotees and innocent people of Ukraine in our prayers. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you to His Holiness Damodara Swami 𝐾𝐸𝐽, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami 𝐾𝐸𝐽, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada 𝐾𝐸𝐽. Thank you to the assembled devotee. I thank to Mataji Naimi Shiranya for giving the opportunity to glorify His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. Srila Prabhupada 𝐾𝐸𝐽. Hare Krishna.
Right. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful offering. It was really very inspiring how His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami took all the situation as Krishna's will. Thank you for showing light on few of His great qualities and His instruction to His disciples and how accommodative He was. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Up next, we have a short video on a book written by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. As we all know, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami is a great author. He penned down his emotions and prayers to their lordships to guide devotees in Krishna consciousness. Here, we have a video presenting his book named Leadership for an Age of Higher Consciousness. Let's have a look at the video.
The Leadership for an Age of Higher Consciousness series. There are tens of thousands of books printed on leadership, but the science of leadership is known by a very rare few. Everyone is a leader in some sense of the term because everyone exerts an influence that others will have to deal with. Beyond the speculation of those who think they know and those who are experimenting to discover what makes leadership work, Bhakti Tirtha Swami encapsulates the leadership teachings from ancient Vedic texts. Readers will gain a deeper appreciation of the importance and power of leadership as it applies to themselves and their endeavors. Leadership in any capacity has taken on such awesome proportions that even the best leaders must find innovative and creative ways to deal with today's complex situations. Leadership for an Age of Higher Consciousness, administration from a metaphysical perspective, is a groundbreaking self-help manual written for those who seek to develop a more penetrating perspective and greater effectiveness in their leadership process. This book is relevant for heads of government, organizations and families, and for anyone seeking greater insight into self-leadership. In the sequel to his international acclaimed Leadership for an Age of Higher Consciousness, Administration from a Metaphysical Perspective, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami explores the greatness of two famous leaders from the Vedic tradition of ancient India. Addressing the leader within each of us, Bhakti Tirtha Swami shows us that the greatest leaders see themselves as servants first. They place integrity and character before personal gain, and they know how to tap into the help that is available from both the earthly and spiritual realms.
We thank the devotees for the wonderful and informative presentation. As said, leadership is a very deep and important topic to spread this movement worldwide. So I request all the devotees and future leaders to kindly grab this opportunity and get a book for yourself. You can check the link in the chat box and get your copies soon. Now we have an offering by His Grace Keshava Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu. Prabhuji is a disciple of His Holiness 𝐺𝐻 Swami. Presently, he is serving at Sri Sri Radha Golokanand Mandir and the Sri Sri Gaur-Nita Preaching Center as a Pujari. He is actively engaged in preaching activities such as house programs, and he is well known for leading ecstatic kirtans and giving dynamic. He also gives a helping hand during festivals and Sunday programs at the local preaching center in Mauritius. I'd like to invite Prabhuji to kindly come and share the offering. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Holiness, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, and all the devotees. It's a great honor to be invited in this sanga to verify the Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj. I appreciated a lot what his Salika Prabhu has said, the truth, tattva of the Holiness Bhakti Swami.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry to interrupt. The sound is too low.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, better. Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. His Grace Salika Prabhu has given a very wonderful description of the truth about the tattva of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. I was thinking of saying the same thing, the truth about the spiritual master. Sakshat Dharidvena Samasta Sastrai. In all the revealed scriptures, it is said that Sri Guru is non-different from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like Srila Prabhupada is a special incarnation of the energy of Lord Krishna, Shakti of God. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami also is a very special personality in the same parampara, the disciplic succession of the tradition, Gaudiya tradition. He is unique in his way of preaching. He is unique in his style of presenting the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy to the Western world. His chanting is unique, his dancing is unique, his smile is unique. Bhakti Tirtha Swami is a person with wonderful qualities, and it's like Prabhu said, one day the world will wonder what kind of person this Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj was. Such a person has ever existed who has walked on this earth as Bhakti Tirtha Swami, filled with compassion and the ecstatic mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has danced all over this world and infused the heart of thousands and millions of people with Krishna Bhakti, penetrating all these places where it was very difficult for people to go, just like in Eastern Africa. Maharaj has made so much preaching there. So powerful. And Maharaj has conquered the heart of so many devotees. This is the legacy of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. He is here. Although myself and few devotees, we have not been able to take initiation from His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, everywhere we go, we can feel His presence. We can feel the mercy of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. However much I have try to hide and flee away from his mercy, Bhakti Tirtha Swami is always there. He is Guru, he is Jagat Guru. And he's always there to guide and show us the path of perfection, the path of devotion to Krishna. On the day that I was there in front of Jayapataka Swami to take initiation, Maharaj Jayapataka Swami told me, "Oh, so you are aspiring disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami?" I said, "Yes, Maharaj." Then he told me, "I'm going to accept you as disciple on behalf of my god brother Bhakti Tirtha Swami, just to connect to the parampara." I'm initiated officially as Jayapataka Swami Maharaj disciple, but even then, Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, he recognized me as aspiring disciple of Bhakti Tirtha Swami. That connection is always there. I've never been able to relinquish that bond with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. His instructions, his love and compassion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the sweet and beautiful offering. Now, I would like to invite our dear Gurudev, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Damodara Swami, to kindly come and lead us through a prayer session for the protection of all the devotees and everyone who are suffering because of the war and its effects.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So these are some prayers for the suffering devotee in the world. So we'll read the prayers together, and then Gurudev will continue. Okay. So this one is a prayer from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela. Can we together? Jivera dukha dekhi mora hidaya bidhare sarva jivera papa prabhu deha mora sire jivera papalana muni karonna rakha bhoga sakala jivera prabhu guchaha bhavaroga. So here Vasudev Dutt is praying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My Lord, my heart breaks to see the sufferings of all the conditioned souls. Therefore, I request you to transfer the karma of their sinful lives upon my head. My dear Lord, let me suffer perpetually in a hellish condition, accepting all the sinful reactions of all living entities. Please finish their diseased material life. So this was a prayer from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now we have a second prayer. And this one is from the book of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj, The Black Lotus, chapter 9, The Horrors and Bliss of War. You can read together. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami remarked how he was aware of the pain and suffering of humanity and the devotees, and prayed to be used to help others deal with their pain. He said, so many people are in pain, and so many, and they don't have anyone to care for them. They don't have a support system. He was crying, going on for some time about the suffering and pain of others, and how his current affliction is something that has come forth to help others. Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Yes. So loud. So loud.
It is Hare Krishna devotees. This prayer from Vyasa-puja and His Holiness is as regards to the devotees in Ukraine and Russia who are in war. So we all know what it means to be fighting war. It's a very, very terrible situation. It is a situation where we have the devotees in Russia, devotees in Ukraine, but it's not devotees who are fighting for the kindness. So we are offering this prayer to the devotee for their security, for their safety, for their protection. I would also like to have a few minutes of kirtan as an offering, appealing to Lord Krishna to support the devotees. There are some devotees who are sending individual prayers. They are also having kirtan for the devotees. They are also sending some money, some donations to help support the devotees there. As part of Guru's donation, there's a Guru's offering. We also know his stand. And he's very much concerned about the welfare of devotees. You can see from his personal life and in many of his prayers, like the particular one which he mentioned. So many people are suffering. Practically everyone is suffering. As a result of our unauthorized lawful activities. So we are being placed in different ways, but it's the duty of devotees to be compassionate, to be loving, to be caring. I want to see that devotees are helped, which is one of the reasons why Gurudev said he's leaving the body as a sacrifice. He's leaving earlier, so he can use this as a sacrifice to help devotees who are locked up in karma. So supporting the devotees in Ukraine, Russia, fighting. We all know the importance of making prayers. Look at Bhagavatam. In the fourth canto, you remember when Dhira was fighting with the Yakshas. The situation became so serious that the Yakshas created a serious situation. They created an ocean that covered completely. It was swallowed by ocean. He said he's seeing the dangerous situation, they came together and chanted mantra. They prayed according to Sukadeva Goswami. By the prayers and the compassion of the devotees who came together and offered this prayer, Dhira Maharaj rise just like the moon rising from the ocean. And that was the power of prayer. Victory. So let us pray seriously from the heart. As we are chanting, we should direct it to the deliverance and appeal to Lord Krishna and our chariots to help deliver the devotees in Ukraine, particularly Ukraine, Russia, and the whole world as a whole, because the whole world is all in anxiety. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Gurudev, thank you so much for such a lovely and beautiful session, showing us how to practice love in action by praying for others. And before introducing you to the last part of this session, I would like to thank all the devotees for putting up this wonderful program. On behalf of our whole team, we would like to thank all the speakers for making this session so special and blissful, and all the participants for contributing the success for this wonderful event. And we would like to thank our beloved spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Damodara Swami, who is very enthusiastically guiding us to perform this wonderful services. And with this, we are going to the next section of our program, which is going to be the schedule for the next session. So for the next session, we'll start with an interview with Mother Ishopanishad, followed by a talk by Her Grace Vrajalila Devi Dasi on the topic Compassion, the Ornament of the Vaishnava. After that, we will have a talk by His Grace Bhuta Bhavana Das on the topic Overcoming Stress and Anxiety. After that, we will have offerings by devotees and well-wishers, followed by a beautiful drama by the Mauritius Yatra. See you all in the next and the last session very, very soon. Thank you so much.
Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Siddhartha Radha Srivasadi Gobhakta Vindam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Eta Garadhar Sivasadi Go Bhakta Vindam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Siddhartha Garadhar Srivasadi Go Bhakta Vindam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Radhar Sadi Go Bhakta Vindam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Siddhartha Radha Srivasadi Go Bhakta Vindam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Siddhartha Radha Srivasadi Go Bhakta